Research. Just as awareness is critical to identify your bad habits, awareness is critical to help you notice how you might be able to take your habits to the next level. By reading and researching from a large variety of subject areas, you can continually receive ideas for ways you can take your habits to a new level. The main problem with getting a lot of information is that the information is largely useless unless you can invest it into your life. Reading about time management is a waste of time unless you can adopt the techniques described for yourself. Reading about health and fitness is also a waste if you lack the skill to invest those abilities in the form of habits and behaviors in your life. This is why mastering the ability to control habits is so critical. Without the ability to effectively control your habits, self-help is just something interesting, not actually helpful. Read from a large variety of fields, don't specialize. While reading for your career or passion can give you expertise in that field, running your life can't be specialized. You can't delegate your life functions to another person, so you have to be a jack of all trades and master of none. Learn about diet, business, finances, time management, spirituality, relationships, psychology and science. Don't limit yourself to studying your favorite subject when it comes to yourself. Maintain an open mind with whatever you are reading. There are many times when I'll be reading something, especially something where the author has a different view of spirituality than my own, where a little voice in my head wants to say, "Yeah, right." During these times I have to consciously turn off the little voice in my head. Use this voice when you are deciding whether or not to take action, but so long as you are still gathering information, make sure your skepticism doesn't rear its ugly head. Conduct your experiment. With your new ability to change habits fairly easily, you now have the option of suspending your judgment on an idea until you have tested it in your own life. People who can't effectively change habits are stuck with using their narrow-minded viewpoint to decide whether or not to go through the process of making a change. With the power to test, you have to learn to restrain your tendency to judge until after you've given it a thorough testing. Weigh out the possible consequences for pursuing your habit change. In almost all cases, the potential upside if the habit does work is far greater than the downside if it doesn't work. By taking intelligent risks with your experimentation, you can maximize your benefit. Clearly, starting a habit of doing drugs or excessive alcohol is something where the potential negative consequences greatly outweigh potential positive ones. Using common sense to decide whether the habit warrants a trial is necessary to filter out potentially great habits from incredibly toxic ones. A successful experiment usually requires a minimum of 30 days to conduct. This is because any less than that and you are still in the difficult part of the conditioning phase. Knowing whether a habit is more or less effective can only be determined once you've reached a point where simply running the habit doesn't take a lot of your energy. Dietary changes may require even more time to effectively study simply because of the added stress of your body adapting to a new dietary pattern. Unless you feel that the habit may be dangerous to your health, I would recommend 90 days for a full dietary trial. Keep careful records up to 30 days and then check back in at the 60 and 90-day mark. This way your body will have ample time to adapt to the new diet and you will start to be feeling some of the long-term effects of the new diet. Once you've selected a habit and decided to test it, there are several ways that you can conduct the test to help make your evaluation. Spending a week or two using these techniques before you actually start the trial may be helpful in giving you some data to compare your results with. Journaling. Journaling is a great way to test your habit changes. The process works very well even if you already know you want to keep the habit, but you need to have a way to work around temporary problems that come up during your conditioning phase. By journaling your thoughts and feelings during the trial, you can get a written record of how the trial is progressing. To set up a trial journal, either open up a new word processor document or buy a small notebook for taking down your thoughts. Every day you should include at least one entry where you write down how you feel the trial is going. Write down all of your observations that relate to your habit. Include observations on your own internal feelings and emotions as well as objective analysis that demonstrates evidence your habit is working or failing. Journaling is probably one of the easiest ways to conduct an experiment for a new habit, and it can be very effective. The one flaw with this method is it really lacks the objectivity that you might want in determining whether the habit is actually effective or just a placebo. This method is probably ideal where much of the reason for changing the habit is emotionally involved. If you are emotionally neutral between one habit and your replacement, more objective means might be desired to actually see if there is a difference.